The memory of the night. The rain pounded relentlessly against the windshield, each drop a tiny hammer striking glass. The wipers screeched in protest, barely managing to push aside the heavy sheets of water. The road stretched before me, dark, empty, endless. The flickering streetlights cast weak halos in the thick fog, making everything feel surreal. My shift was almost over, just one last stretch before home. I longed for the comfort of my apartment, dry clothes, and the hum of my heater. But then I saw her. A woman stood on the roadside, barely visible through the storm. Her soaked dress clung to her frame, and her long, dark hair hung in dripping strands. She raised a hand slowly, a silent plea for help. My instincts screamed at me. Picking up a lone traveler this late on a deserted road, a terrible idea. But those eyes, hollow, pleading. Something inside me twisted. Before I fully registered the decision, I pulled over. She slid into the back seat, moving like a shadow. "Where to?" I asked, forcing casualness into my voice. "Just drive." Her whisper barely rose above the rain. A chill crawled up my spine, but I obeyed. The road seemed longer than before, winding through the fog like an uncoiling serpent. Minutes stretched, weighed down by silence. I adjusted the rearview mirror, sneaking a glance at her. She sat rigid, hands in her lap, staring blankly out the window. Rain blurred the view outside, but she watched it as though searching for something. Or someone. Trying to break the eerie quiet, I cleared my throat. "Rough night?" No response. She tilted her head slightly, gaze still fixed on the window. Her breath fogged the glass, forming shapes I couldn't quite decipher. Then, she whispered, "You don't remember, do you?" A strange pressure built in my chest. My hands clenched the wheel. "Remember what?" She finally looked at me through the mirror, and something about her felt familiar. My breath hitched. The fog outside thickened, swirling unnaturally. The headlights barely cut through the darkness now, swallowed whole by something deeper than night. "Who are you?" My voice came out hoarse. She didn't answer. Instead, she smiled. Not a normal smile. It was too wide, too wrong. "You should have stopped that night." Her voice was softer than before, but the words sliced through me. Pain shot through my skull. A memory, faint, buried, resisting, began to surface. The storm. The wet road. The neon glow of my dashboard clock reading 1:34 a.m. I was driving fast. Too fast. I had been out with friends, celebrating the end of a miserable work week. The rain had started while I was on the highway, and I remember being frustrated. I hated driving in storms. The roads were slick, and my tires struggled for grip. But I just wanted to get home. Then she appeared. A figure in the middle of the road. It happened too fast. A pale face, wide, terrified eyes staring at my approaching headlights. A flash of white, maybe a dress. Hands raised, a desperate attempt to stop me. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded. The steering wheel wrenched under my grip. But it was too late. The sickening impact sent a violent tremor through the car. The sound, God, that sound. Bone against metal, the body rolling over the hood, hitting the windshield with a crack before disappearing. Panic seized me. My pulse pounded in my ears. My breath came in short gasps. I should have stopped. I should have gotten out. But I didn't. Fear gripped me. The thought of what I'd done, of what I might see if I looked, was too much. My shaking hands clenched the wheel. My foot pressed hard on the gas. I drove away, leaving her behind. The realization struck like a hammer to the chest. I gasped, my grip on the wheel tightening. My pulse pounded against my skull. No, that's not. The mirror reflected an empty back seat, but her whisper came from right beside me. "You left me." I slammed the brakes. The car skidded, tires screeching against the wet pavement. The world spun, headlights flashing in the dark. The wheel wrenched from my grasp as the car fishtailed. Then, impact. Glass shattered. My body lurched forward. Metal twisted and groaned as the car flipped. The world became a blur of motion and sound. Then, stillness. For a long moment, I felt nothing. Then pain. Aching, crushing pain. Smoke curled from the wreckage. The scent of burnt rubber and blood filled the air. Rain pattered against my face as I lay, broken, among the remains of my car. Then I saw her, standing just beyond the wreckage, watching, not broken anymore. No blood, no pain, just waiting. Tears blurred my vision. I didn't mean to. I was scared. She stepped closer. I flinched, bracing for the worst. But instead of rage, there was something else in her expression. Understanding. "It's over," she whispered. The weight in my chest, one I hadn't even realized I carried, lifted. The suffocating guilt, the nightmares, the endless feeling of being watched, all of it vanished. For the first time in years, the road was empty. The flashing lights of an approaching ambulance cut through the darkness. My body ached, my breath shallow, but I knew one thing: she was never after revenge. She just wanted me to remember. And now that I did, she could finally rest. Until next time, keep your lights on, your doors locked, and don't forget to subscribe. You never know what's hiding in the dark.